Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Tell us where you're checking in from this morning, what you're drinking, get your questions in. We got Doug Rice from Dallas, Texas Exes joining us. And, of course, it's Wednesday, which means Trench Church Hump Day with Heels.
Hoodies with Hills. Hoodies with Hills.
Yeah, hoodies with Heels. I like it, Jerry. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
And we got a lot to talk about this morning, fellas. And I want to start with Sark going to the mic yesterday. And we've had a lot of people ask about Arch and where he's at, that type of thing. So let's hear it from Sark.
No, the plan hasn't changed. That's been the plan all along. Arch through today, he did 7-on-7. He did a lot of our group work. He did routes on air. That was the plan all along for us. And so, we've really stayed the course, which has been encouraging for me. Again, he's in year 4 in our system. You know, the system hasn't changed. We haven't had a new coordinator. We haven't had to do those things. And so there's a level of comfort for me. But I also think it's important for KJD and MJ. They need these real team reps right now. They need to get these things. And so, it's working out really well for us. I think that now Arch is really back throwing and going that way, that he's finding that continuity with some of the other receivers. Ryan's back out there. Emmett's back out there. You know, he's working with Cam. He's working with these 3 young guys. He's working with Sterling to go along with Day. So we're fortunate that way. The experience that Arch has, like you would an NFL vet at this time of the year, but it's really important, and it's been great for KJ and Dia, and those guys are making tremendous strides, and which is encouraging as well.
So, you gotta love what. Look, he's got a lot of confidence in Arch Manning, Jerry, in my opinion. Holding him out of 11-on-11 work or true teamwork, just in order to make sure he's healthy for the year. Also gives KJ Lacey, we talked about this, a ton of opportunity to try to get used to those big-time receivers that Texas has right now, and, into the offense. I feel like Sark in that entire press conference yesterday, again, reiterated what we've been talking about. He feels really, really good about this team, and not just any particular position. That being said, there is one player he feels particularly good about, and that's Colin Simmons. He went on and on about how Colin Simmons now is practicing differently, playing differently. Talked about him being a pro. Blake, we got some news and notes and actually some audio from that as well for you guys.
Yep, here you go.
Because there's a real level of maturity in him in year 3 that he would be the first to tell you wasn't there in year 1 at practice. You know, in year 1, he had to beat the tackle and he had to go touch the quarterback to get credit, like I saw the sack. And right now, he is, and I showed it in the team meeting today, he came free on a rush. I don't know if he got within 4 yards of the quarterback. He just ran by so that the other 21 guys that were out there, the quarterback could still throw it. The DB still had to cover. He didn't feel like he had to go get near the quarterback. He's really practicing like a pro right now. And, I think he's setting an example for the other guys of how to practice full speed, but he doesn't have to get into the way of the quarterback. And he's doing a great job in the run game as well. And so I've been proud of Colin. And you can feel his speed, his explosiveness, his playmaking ability, but yet he's not ruining practice. The other 21 guys are still getting their reps on those plays, where he's not knocking the quarterback down and I'm yelling at him and Muschamp's yelling at him for, getting too close to the quarterback. He's going by and everybody's still getting their reps.
Yeah, I think one of the things he hit on, that it doesn't matter how talented a player is, those guys still have to learn to practice at the college level. So, look, I saw Colin Simmons a lot in high school, obviously, and it was really easy for him at times. You didn't have to go full go in practice. You weren't required to go full go in practice. You didn't have to practice even though you went out and performed. Now, his senior year, he also had the high ankle sprain. So he was out a lot his senior season in terms of practice. But it's a different level as you mature as a football player. We always talk about on the field, but it starts way before the field. It starts in the practice setting. And I think that's an area that everything I've heard, that's been his biggest maturity
is in preparation for Saturdays, because it was so easy. Guys that are that talented, it's so easy for them for so long that then when they get to that next level, it does become a little harder and the demands are different. So that's all part of the football maturity. It's it was Will Muschamp saying it's not add water instant player, and it never really is. There's development that comes from every single player. And a lot of times it has nothing to do with in between the lines on Saturday. It has to do with learning how to practice like a pro, like a guy that's going to be a top 5, top 10 pick. And I think it's going to be very interesting for the chat. I want y'all's prediction because we're going to bring up something in a second. The all-time sacks record at Texas. Where will Colin Simmons end up on this list, Bobby? He enters the season with 21. If he has a fully healthy season, where does he end up on this list? I think he's going to end up third, and he's going to exit a year early, obviously, but I think he's going to end up third on this list.
Yeah, he'll end up, if he has the years. If he just does what he did last year, 12 sacks, he'll end up low 30s, 33. He'll end up third on this list. What I found really interesting, Jerry, is the number of sacks by decade, essentially.
Yeah.
In the 2000s, since this century, there's only one person in the top 10.
Yeah.
And that's Jackson Jeff. Brian Arakpo is not on this list. Sergio Kendall is not on this list.
Yeah. When you look at that list as it goes down, Bobby, that's 100% right. Like 11 through 18, 19, those are all the guys you're talking about.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And that, I think people don't realize the rarefied air you may be entering into based on the time. I mean, look, Kiki Diallo, he played with Kenneth Sims in the middle of his defense. Tony DeGreat, an Outland winner. Or Lombardi winner. Steve McMichael. These guys. McMichael's in the NFL Hall of Fame. Kenneth Sims was the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. So my point being, though, is that from 2000, he has the chance to easily pass Jackson Jeffcoat, who I think is at 27 and a half. If Colin Simmons doesn't get 6.5 sacks this year, there's been an injury. Yeah. Let's just be clear. If he could get up to that 15 sack range, in the regular season, Jerry, then you start looking at postseason and thinking, ooh, Colin might have a chance at some history. But look, we got to see it. I think he has that ability to get to 15. He's teetered on that edge. I also think that Texas has a extremely well-rounded defense this year. I also think they'll be more aggressive under Will Muschamp. Yeah. So that could even play into the role and where he ends up. But good stuff there. Thanks for putting that graphic up, Blake. We appreciate it. Good stuff. All right.
We'll get Tony Hill's thoughts on Colin Simmons too when he's on, because we're going to talk to Tony about Jackson Cook, Matt Trissell's son, who committed to Texas on the offensive line. We'll get Tony Hill's thoughts on Colin Simmons too as a pass rusher, and guys he's gone up against, guys he's watched. Where does he think Colin Simmons can go this year and beyond?
All right, I want to say thanks to our friends over at Lowy Law Firm for sponsoring this episode of On Texas Football. If you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind and think you might be due compensation, make sure you reach out to Adam and his group, LowyLawFirm.com. Just go to the website, LowyLawFirm.com. They'll give you a free, no strings attached consultation to see if you might be due compensation. Again, injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind, just reach out to Adam. Adam, thank you for your ongoing sponsorship of Coffee and Football here on Wednesday mornings.
All right, guys. Well, up next, we're going to talk a little women's basketball. The team, of course, had the send-off. We discussed it yesterday. And look, we encourage people to go out there to Moody Center Arena as they make their way to Phoenix. And check this out. Lots of support for Vic Schaefer and his crew. of course, the video doesn't even do it justice of how many people were actually there.
I was going to say, it doesn't do it justice, Blake, because it was like 4 or 5 rows deep on this side where CJ Vogel went out there and filmed this for us, where CJ was standing to get the pick. He had to stand up on one of the berms next to the Moody there. So it's awesome that the ladies getting that kind of sent off. Obviously, they play Friday night against UCLA. They are favored by 1.5 points, Jerry and Blake, over UCLA. UCLA's only loss this season, I believe, is to Texas out in Vegas in the early season. South Carolina, UConn play the early game on Friday. UConn, the prohibitive favorite to win the tourney, by the way, favored by 6.5 over a South Carolina team that obliterated TCU in the semifinal or in the Elite Eight. So we'll see how this all goes. But if things go as planned, Texas might be trying to win a national championship on Sunday. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say the same thing I did yesterday. The women's tournament scrimmages are over. Now we get to the real ball because there's not depth. There's maybe 6-7 teams in women's basketball. They're legit contenders. Now we're down to 4, all the number 1 seeds. What's interesting is Texas is favored by 1.5. The ESPN predictor has UCLA, even though they have the line for Texas 1.5. They have UCLA 51.3% chance and Texas 48.7. What does it mean? Nothing. It's pretty much a pick 'em game by most people. And I think the whole key for Texas against UCLA, the whole enchilada is guarding the 3-point line. UCLA is 8.5 3-point makes a game. They have to take away the 3-point line from UCLA. If they do that, I think Texas will win the game. I think one of the things with Texas, this Texas team, the next 2 games, if it's UCLA and it's UConn, okay, is UCLA, then UConn's another level. If those teams hit their season number from 3, then the analytics say you're going to have to, and Texas hits their season number from 3, then the analytics say you're going to have to make up so many points somewhere else. But I think this UCLA team is really good to play, hopefully, before you play UConn. I don't want to play South Carolina. That just does nothing for me. I want to play 39-0 UConn is who I want to play for a national championship. But guarding the 3-point line and taking away that from UCLA, if not a warm-up, but it's a good Final Four game for Texas if they go on and play UConn, because that's even another level of that. So I think that's the whole key for Texas is take away the 3-point line of UCLA because they can shoot it. They shoot a lot of them. They make a lot of them. So you got to take away their strength. And then I think Texas size and athleticism inside 15 feet can be the difference in the game defensively for Texas. But you got to take away the 3-point line. If UCLA is shooting it well, they're getting clean looks, then this game could go the other way for you. But Texas won it by 11 the first go-round. They're favored by 1.5 now. Take away the 3-point line, then make UCLA guard you.
And look how close this is. For those that are listening, Texas averaging 85 points on the season, UCLA 84.9. Points against, Texas 55.9, UCLA 56.9. Texas field goal percentage 50%, UCLA's 51%. Even you look at rebounds, blocks, steals per game, and they're all still very close. So a very, very close matchup stat-wise on the stat sheet.
I think even though UCLA's 35-1, we talked about, hey, the Big Ten's having a really good year in men's basketball, which the year before it was the SEC that had the big year in men's basketball. I'm not sure the Big Ten levels up to the SEC in the women's game. So something to know there. I think if UCLA, you see them 35-1, it doesn't mean they can't beat Texas. I think if they played in the SEC, I think we could all say they wouldn't have been 35-1. So I think that's one thing to take into consideration here, not taken away from what UCLA's done this year, but the Big Ten is not the SEC. I mean, they have some good teams, but they're not the SEC when you're sitting there where you have Texas and South Carolina and LSU, and the depth of that league and the women's side is tremendous. I mean, it really is tremendous. So just something to take note of there. But you got to give a team credit for going 18-0 in their conference at the same time.
Yeah, Vic will do it. He was out shooting turkeys yesterday morning. A picture of him. He true to his word after beating man, who did they even beat in the Elite Eight? I'm
Michigan.
blanking. After beating Michigan in the Elite Eight in Fort Worth, he said he's going to go turkey hunting the next morning. Sure enough, there was a picture of Vic circulating around the internet yesterday after going turkey hunting on Tuesday morning. Hey, Blake and Jerry, I want to circle back as if we could and talk about Steve Sarkisian and his press conference yesterday. A lot of topics that we've already talked about, whether it was the situation with Arch, some of the players that he mentioned. There's two guys I want to mention that have come up now. Sterling Buchalter was mentioned yet again as quietly having a very, very good camp. Now, he was not the highest known product coming over to Texas from Wake Forest, but he did have over 1,000 receiving yards in his career. And Sark went off a little bit about Sterling Buchalter yesterday and said that the young man is having a really good camp. He's doing his thing quietly but surely. He's going to be a player or a key reserve in this offense for Texas, especially if perhaps one of these other guys like Emmett Mosley, Ryan Wingo, Cam Coleman, any of those guys go down. Sterling Buchalter may be a guy that we see have more minutes and more receptions than anybody contemplated when he came over from Wake Forest this year. The second one I wanted to mention, and this is the one where, Jerry, you and I were talking about this 2 or 3 months ago. And they said, well, who might be the left guard? And you and I both said Jonah Coleman has a chance.
Jordan. Yep.
Jordan Coleman has a chance, right? And people are, oh, that means we're not going to be any good on the offensive line again. We didn't do what we needed to do. No, Jerry and I were saying that because sometimes when you talk to coaches or insiders or whoever you talk to, and they speak with reverence about a player, like, oh, he's got a chance.
Oh, yeah.
That's how they were speaking about Jordan Coleman at that. And that's one of the reasons why Jerry and I were putting that out there. Well, Sark took it a step further yesterday. Sark said that Jordan is working at left tackle right now, not left guard, left tackle. For a guy, 330 pounds, Jerry?
360.
I mean, just enormous human, okay? He's working at left tackle. And he said, look, he's still young and he's all this. He goes, but sometimes when he gets it all together, you just go, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
And I say all this because if y'all remember, that's one of the names that we were saying, hey, don't count out him as a left guard starter because we hear really good things. And everybody's like, oh, we can't have a true sophomore or redshirt freshman. That would be wasting Arch Manning and all these offensive weapons. I'm telling you, Jordan Coleman may end up being the underrated guy of that recruiting class on offense. Grayson Littleton, I think, was that guy on defense, right? I think Jordan Coleman, just with his trajectory on the offensive line, has a chance to be that guy on offense in that class.
Yeah, no, I think he's very talented, and look, seeing him in high school, I mean, you saw a guy who was squatting 600 pounds as a junior in high school. I mean, but still had enough body quickness. And look, I think long term in his career, he's probably a guard, and I'm talking next level stuff. But he was coached by Marcus Hutchins, who played offensive tackle at Texas. He's at Cedar Hill. We may need to have him come back on the show and talk about him once again. But Jordan Coleman, and look, Texas likes all those 3 kids that redshirted in that class. I'll say that. It may take a year longer for some of those guys to get on the field. But you still have to develop these linemen. You still got to take really talented players and develop them on the offensive line. It's the longest developing position. And there is a place for those. I mean, and before, to that point, you're too young, wasting Arch's last year. Well, Georgia started 2 guys as true freshmen last year and made the college football playoff. And you can go through some other teams, and there were some young linemen that were part of those teams. I think Ohio State a couple of years ago, right? So had some first-year starters. So it happens, but Jordan Coleman is a very talented player. And I think developing those guys is huge for this future of this program. And you know what? Look, if he comes in, Trevor Goosby's is going to be healthy next year at left tackle. and he gets to try at left guard, he will battle whoever's there. That I can tell you. He has a lot of contact power now. That's the one thing about him in high school. When he leans on you, he is moving people. And sometimes he can completely dislodge people.
I didn't realize he was 360. I mean, just look at him in practice. I was thinking 330, 335, Jerry.
Yeah.
360 is bigger than I even thought. That's a big old dude now.
Yeah.
But he is running. I mean, the other thing is he's run a lot of first team at left tackle.
Yes.
With Trevor Gooseby out. Melvin Siani continues to work at right tackle. Brandon Baker continues to, and this is just a little inside scoop, Brandon Baker continues to work at right guard. Center is Connor Robertson. Left guard, they're rotating between Jaden Chapman and Dylan Sikorsky right now.
All right. Aspen85 with the super chat says, and thank you. Dang, Bobby, CJ isn't here to defend himself, and you're still hitting Warwick Davis with the hot jokes.
That was not meant to be a height joke about CJ standing on the berm. He had to do it because there's so many people there. That's the only way he could get a good video of it, of all the people waiting to send off the Lady Horns as they head to our friends over in Phoenix.
All right, guys. Well, up next, I've been doing some research over the past couple of weeks looking at the ticket market, and I've been researching the most expensive college football games of the 2026 season. Now, I hope you're ready for this. Texas has 4 of the top 10 most expensive games, including number 1, 2, and 3, along with number 8. So Texas versus Oklahoma. This is the get-in price. This is an average price. This is get-in, courtesy of SeatGeek. Texas versus Oklahoma, $634. Texas versus Texas A&M, $631. Ohio State versus Texas, $529. Those are your top 3 most expensive games as of today, April 1st. And then Texas versus Tennessee coming in at number 8, $390. So 40% of the top 10 most expensive games has to do with the Longhorns.
And 8 of 10 is SEC related. 8 of 10, all SEC related. Michigan, Ohio State, Army, Navy, the only ones that do not include an SEC team. So the Big Ten does have the run of titles. The SEC has the run of money.
Man, I was going to say Texas has the run of money. I mean, somebody needs to be selling their tickets right now to pay for a car. I mean, my goodness. I mean, that's crazy.
And by the way,
don't let Chris Del Conte see this stat, by the way. Do not let him see this. Hide it. He'll be raising ticket prices before we know it.
Somebody mentioned Texas LSU. If that's a night game and that game matters late in the year, it will climb way high on this list by the end of the day.
And the reason that they're not in here, the lowest ticket price that I found for them is $230. So a lot cheaper than your 600s. Even number 10 is still $344. So that one's way down the list.
They know alcohol sales are up, so ticket prices are down. You got to find a happy medium before LSU games. You got to bring the lower ticket prices to get the alcohol sales way, way up.
Do the crawfish prices go up on game day? We got whatever going on in the Strait of Hormuz right now, so oil prices are way up. Do crawfish prices go up in southern Louisiana or South Louisiana when the Tigers play at home? I bet they do. Look, you can look at this and talk about it all you want, but the reality of it is that Texas is a hot ticket right now. I think that is part of it. Arch Manning fever. Sure, a little bit of it. That's why even Blake put his picture up here on this graphic, right? But I think it's just Texas fan base is super excited right now, and they have reason to be on a consistent basis for the first time in 15 to 20 years. I mean, that's what everybody feels. That's why these are partially why they're hard tickets. The other is that, OU and A&M are both rivalry games. Ohio State is a team similarly situated to Texas from a prestige and tradition standpoint. We'll see what it all means, but I think that it's just indicative of Texas being one of the, if not the program in college football that's, I mean, not a single Notre Dame game in there, by the way. Did you notice that? Of course, with their schedule,
Yeah.
impressed.
Nah,
But,
yeah.
I mean, that's the team that a lot of people think is that way, right? They're not a single game in there.
Nah, not with our schedule. But again, like to your point, Texas, Oklahoma made the playoffs last year. Texas A&M made the playoffs last year. Obviously, Ohio State made the playoff game last year. So both fan bases super jacked up about their teams and their trajectory. Oklahoma fans think they're going to be better this year. A&M fans think they're going to be better this year. Obviously, Texas fans think they're going to be better this year. Ohio State just knows they're good every year.
Do you think A&M? We should talk about this after we got Tony coming up and got Doug Rice from the Texas Exes coming up. But we should get to that topic that you just laid out there, that A&M fans think they're going to be better this year. First, we got some ad reads. Blake?
Yeah, so Jerry, I'm going to let you start by telling us about Harry's this morning.
Yeah, question for the chat. Why are Razor refills still like $30 and Dole so fast? And that's why I switched to Harry's Plus, and honestly, I'm hooked. The first thing you notice is the weighted metal handle. It's not cheap plastic. That is so true. Gives you a way better control while you shave. The blades are German engineered and owned in 3 different angles, so they can cut clean without that tugging feeling. That's a bad feeling. The blade spacing helps them glide smoothly and keeps them from clogging up like the stuff you grab at the store. Plus, every cartridge has a lubricating strip with aloe and vitamin E to keep your skin calm while you shave. Very, very important. And the price is a big reason I switched. Harry's owns their own blade factory in Germany, so they cut out the middleman and keep the cost way lower. For a limited time, our listeners can get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/ontexas. The set includes the all-new Harry's Plus razor, one refined 5-blade cartridge, a 2-ounce foaming gel, and a travel cover to protect your blades on the go. Just head to harrys.com/ontexas to claim this offer. And after you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. That's On Texas Football, home of hoodies and hills.
And I'm going to tell everyone this morning about Prize Picks. Today's episode of Coffee and Football is presented by Prize Picks. If you're watching games and not on Prize Picks yet, I don't know what you're doing. This is hands down the best way to stay locked into every single sport for every single play. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports picks app, and it's super simple. You're not dealing with all the complicated stuff. You just pick more or less on player stats. That's it. Points, yards, strikeouts, whatever you're watching, you build your lineup and you ride. And here's what I love. You can mix and match across sports. So let's say that maybe your favorite player is rolling. He's on a run. Well, you can pair that with NBA, college hoops, whatever is on. It doesn't matter. Any sport you can think of is on Prize Picks. It makes every game way more fun to watch. And I'll give y'all an example of what I am looking at today here. Today, I'm going more on Jason Tatum and 22.5 points. He's been hot lately. And then I'm also going more on Tyrese Maxey's 19.5 points and Wemby to have more than 3.5 dunks because he hasn't had less than 4 in the last 6 games. And that's the fun of it. You build your own read on the game or your own read on the players, and you just roll with it. And right now, if you're new, this is the deal that Prize Picks has for you. Just download the app, use code HMA, and play just $5, and then you're getting $50 in lineups instantly. That's right. Prize Picks is hooking you up when you download the app with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Just use code HMA when you sign up. So, yeah, go get signed up. Let's ride these picks together. And as always, play smart, play responsibly, and have fun with it right there on Prize Picks.
3.5 dunks. Does he just stand there and dunk? He's so tall. Does that count as a dunk if you don't have to jump?
Good question.
Well, from my personal experience, yes.
It does. It does count as your person. Yeah. Jump on your lighted up shoes.
Bobby, have you ever heard of Nerf goals? I used to throw down on the fellas.
Jerry's a Nerf champ.
Yeah.
He jumped over the twin bed.
Threw down on the fellas. The Nerf goals took no athleticism. You just stepped on people's feet and dunked on them. It was all strategy because you didn't have to jump. So you stepped on somebody's foot so they couldn't jump, and then you dunked on them and pushed them into the wall. That is 13-year-old basketball right there.
Well, we're going to talk to somebody with some athleticism, and that's Tony Hills this morning.
Used to have athleticism.
Good morning, Tony.
Hey, listen, don't you make me send in that video of me doing box jumps, buddy.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Seen it.
Hey, listen, let me tell you something. If it's one thing that I know about you, Jerry, is if win at all costs was a definition in the dictionary, your face would be next to
Yes.
it. Man.
Yes.
All right, listen, I can appreciate it, brother. Look, nobody likes a loser. All right.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Well,
What's
look,
up, OTF? I'm here, man. What we doing, man? We're in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. What's happening?
Hey, Tony, you already told us, by the way, a couple weeks ago that you were dunking in 8th grade on real basketball rims, unlike Jerry Hamilton, who had to.
Yeah. And I had to jump too, Bobby. I had to jump.
Hey, Tony, question for you. Jackson Cook committed to the University of Texas. I know you got a chance to watch him. Jerry showed you his film earlier this week, and he is the son of Matt Trissel, young man out of Austin's Westlake High School. What did you see about the interior offensive lineman that you liked and whatnot from Jackson Cook?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like at this point it's getting redundant, right? And that's a good thing because you want consistency as an offensive lineman. But, he's a tough kid. He plays hard, right? He has his first step is really good. It's really good. I want him to work on getting his second foot in the ground. He kind of drags a little bit. But, I mean, look, man, when you're evaluating these guys, I'm always looking at it from a competition standpoint, right? And a lot of times when you see the guys that he's playing, he mostly overpowers them, right? So it's going to be the same thing. You're going to see some good short area quickness. He's been trained, so you can see some of that punch power that he has. Got to work on pad level, like with all of these guys. But all in all, I understand why Texas got him. I mean, he's a smart kid, a tough kid, and he plays the game the right way. So I'm excited to see what we do with him when he gets there.
Hey, Tony, I would love to follow up with the offensive line question, but the chat's got questions. We don't see the hoodie today. Where's Tony Hills at today?
Oh, man. So we are at the beautiful, lovely resort out here in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm here with the pro athletic community. That's one of the communities that I'm a part of. A good buddy of mine, Caleb Thornhill, who I met when I was in Miami. He's a co-founder with Chip Posick, and man, they've built something amazing. Think about a community of just, all, professional athletes, retired athletes, college, all of the whole nine, man. It's just a community of individuals. And we're able to connect with high-end executives and business owners, man. I'm talking to guys that's doing, $2, $3, $4 billion revenue deals. You know what I mean? So it's a wonderful experience. They've been nothing but gracious, been a gracious host, man. And I'm so excited that we're here. Came out here with Mama. I had to bring them oatmeal cream pies to Arizona.
Those are deal closers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I got a lot of numbers off of that.
All right, so Tony, Steve Sarkisian yesterday mentioned Jordan Coleman out of Cedar Hill, the redshirt freshman. I'm sure you've seen him, maybe not like in detail. We've watched him come out of high school. But I guess for my question for you on a young kid like Jordan Coleman is Sark said there are times where it's whoa is the reaction to things he does on the field. Whoa. And they said it's still about building consistency, right? So what are those steps for that young lineman? And I know everybody can be different in what they're working on, but those steps that young linemen have to take, they're the whoa players. They show a lot of it, but then it's that down in, down out consistency.
Yeah, the reality is the whoa is because the player is showing you the talent when he understands his assignment, right? So you're talking about the confidence based off of the play call. I know exactly what I'm supposed to do, how I'm supposed to do it, and when I'm supposed to do it, right? And why I'm supposed to do it. So now I'm able to play the game faster. When I'm thinking, then I'm hesitant. So that's why you're seeing the inconsistency. It's just because he's still learning. So it's going to be a learning curve, man. Experience, repetition, those are the things that you have to have as a young player. There's an immense amount of study that goes into it because you're learning a new system. Like you're learning how they want you to do something as opposed to how you were doing it before, right? And so all of that stuff takes you have to take into consideration. The best way for you to basically accelerate, since we're at the Pack Accelerate event, so accelerate the learning curve, is going to be the extra reps that you get off the field. You can't just rely on the practices. You can't just rely, just on the film study with the coaches, man. You got to do stuff on your own. You got to get out to that practice field and act as though there's people in front of you. Okay, I'm running this play. Like, for instance, as we were running, K-PAP, right? Okay, I got 4 down in the wheel slide protection. All right, I got a 5 technique that's tight on me. I got a wheel on the line of scrimmage. All right, I know I got to make a slide call. So now I take my steps. Like, you walk yourself through the mentality of the game so that you can get those extra reps. When you're on the practice field and you're not getting those reps, you're locked in intently and you're getting the call. You're wanting to see, hey, how does this thing look when I hear this as a lineman? What is my particular job? And I'm watching the man in front of me, right? Those are mental reps. You got to get a lot of those, but then you also got to get the reps on the field too. So it's just going to be reps. And as he gets those reps, Jerry, then his confidence will go through the roof, and now you'll be able to see the player that he truly is.
Tony, I'm looking at this offensive line this year, and we broke it down every which way, and we're rating to see it in what its current iteration is on April 18th for spring game.
Yeah.
Right. But all we can do is kind of think through it and relay what we hear is happening in practice, et cetera. There's some confidence, some quiet confidence right now about where the offensive line is right now compared to a year ago at this time.
Yeah.
Texas took an additional commitment yesterday. Young man from East St. Louis by way of Arkansas and SMU, a guy named Paris Patterson.
Yeah.
He plays guard and tackle. He's not expected to be a frontline guy. He's not expected to be 1 through 5, okay? But he's supposed to be 7, 8, 9, that range, right? Because he has some experience. Why would Texas take him, in your opinion, as opposed to trying to bring along a younger guy and get him ready earlier? Because that was the question a lot of people have. Why take this guy if he's not a frontline guy? And me and Jerry's obvious answer is, experience. Well, then using that experience, it then maybe takes away some of the experience that other people can gain. So what's that? Jerry's term was happy median earlier. What's the happy median between judging that as an offensive line coach for Kyle Flood?
Yeah, that's a great question, Bobby. So let me attempt to put myself in the mind of Coach Flood, right? Maybe it's how post-traumatic stress lineman syndrome.
PTLS.
Yeah. Like think about it. I want you to think about it. The biggest struggle that we had last year was that we had 4 good solid players. It just took us a long time to get the rotation. But for a long time, we were missing in the interior, right? The guard, the left and right guard. And so now what happens is that you kind of overdo it a little bit. And you say, hey, you know what? If something happens, I don't know if I want to go with a young guy that I got to teach the system to, teach a technique to, see if he gets it. Like, I don't know if I want to take my time doing that when I can get a guy that, hey, he might not be a starter. He might be a fringe, backup guy. But if push comes to shove and, the proverbial bull caca hits the fan, right, then at least I have somebody that has played at this level and understand, and the game is not too big for him. Now it's just about getting him acclimated to how we do things, and I can work with whatever skill set he has, as opposed to having a young kid who's never been there before, right? And the reality is that the other part of that's outside of the development stage of what the game was about college is just the immense amount of pressure on Texas to win. Because when you see what, Cignetti has done in Indiana, and you have the amount of talent that you have at Texas, we have some of the best players, if not the best players in the country, then the excuses start to dwindle. And look, at the end of the day, I'm a Sarkisian fan. You guys know me. I know I had my little moment. Just call me I was a child throwing a temper tantrum because I wasn't getting what I wanted. But I'm a Sarkisian fan. I can only imagine the pressure that's on that coaching staff to win now. And so I believe that move, Bobby, was a just-in-case move, but it's also because we're in a win-now situation. You can bring the other guys that you know that are probably not going to step on the field along, and you can see what they have, and that's when we started talking about earlier about the practice reps and the mental reps. That's that developmental stage, and you've picked those guys that you want. But when you're in the SEC, you're going to need about 7 or 8. Because, I mean, look, injury is 100% injury sport. We know this is one of the most physical conferences in college football. Injury will happen. You got to be prepared. So I think it's a combination of all of those things.
I like the win now moniker. I think that's a big piece of it. No stone left unturned.
Yeah.
This year for sure. Jerry?
Yeah. So, Tony, Colin Simmons is entering the Ricky Williams territory at Texas, meaning we can't even hand the ball on defense. He can destroy a practice. He's this good. We have to slow his reps down. You know, he's Ricky. It used to be like, hey, Ricky, we can't, like, you're not going to get many reps here, okay, guy? Derek Johnson, I think, entered that territory. Derek, you're not going to get many reps in spring ball here, okay? We got to be able to practice and finish plays and have drives. So we put it up earlier that Colin Simmons has 21 career sacks. Obviously, the number, Kiki Dial's at 40.5, Tim Campbell 39.5. If Colin's healthy, he's going to end up third, and we'll see where it goes from there. But just from your perspective, having watched, played against some of the best guys, where's the ceiling for Colin Simmons?
The universe.
Yeah.
Look, man. What can he? The question is, I answer the question with a question. What can he not do?
Exactly.
What can he not do? He can play the run. He's strong enough and stout enough to play the run. We know he can rush the passer. He can drop into coverage. I mean, he's a smart kid. He has an immense amount of pass rush moves. Like, I'm not saying he's there yet, but what I'm saying is that the trajectory that he's on and his willingness to work, that's one of the things that I've heard about him when I've asked the guys that are around there and that watch him every day, like, hey, man, talk to me about his work ethic. He's a worker, man. He wants to get better. He wants to be great, right? And so when you have that mentality and you match it with that type of talent, what you really get is a Von Miller. I'm not saying he is Von Miller, but that's what I've seen. I saw Von come in as a rookie, and I saw the greatness that he wanted, and I heard how he talked, and I answered all of the questions that he asked me as a rookie about how offensive linemen said, and why do y'all move like that? And when I make this move, Tony, work with me. What would you do here? Like, I've seen this before, right? And so, like, barring injury, the universe, man. And if you get him as he continues to elevate, and now you start projecting future projections, and he gets to the next level, you get him with a guy that knows exactly what he's doing, and get him in a system that knows how to use him, and you add that with everything else that I've talked about, we're going to be talking about Colin Simmons for a long time.
Those are high words. Hey, Tony, other thing I want to mention and ask you about particularly, if you look at that graphic, all of those players except for one in that all-time sack leader component were before the year 2000. Only one was post-2000. That was Jackson Jeffcoat, all the way down at number 7. Brian Arakpo is not on this list. Alex Okafor, not on this list. Sergio Kendall, not on this list. Why do you think that is? Is that because offensive linemen have changed and pass protection has become a bigger thing for offensive linemen to deter the defensive linemen? Or were these guys just superhuman back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s? I mean, what is the real difference between the sack numbers being higher earlier versus nowadays, where in the last 25 years, only one guy is in the top 10?
Well, yeah, I mean, every year the athlete, every decade the athlete has changed too, right? You think about the early 90s, right? The early 90s and the early 2000s, you were looking for big guys. You were looking for maulers. Why were you looking for that? Because you were basically a run-heavy, run-first, play-action type of offense, right? It wasn't a lot of spread them out and air it out like, the air raid that the Oilers used to run, right? And then once you switched over to, that Mike Leach basketball on the football field type of offense and started lighting up points, you needed a different body type to be able to handle that type of offense. And so now what happened was now the offensive linemen got more athletic. Now they got a little leaner. Now you started looking for big tight ends, hint, hint, that you can move inside, that had good feet work, that had athleticism, guys that played basketball, right? And you wanted to move them at tackle. You started finding guards that, they still had size on them, but some of these guys were wrestlers. Like you started looking at backgrounds, right? And so now the better athlete creates the issue on the other side of the ball. So now what happened was in response to that, now you started finding defensive linemen that started getting together and creating these camps and going to these schools and looking at these pass rush moves from a lot of the greats. And you started seeing these collectives, which then started bringing in, guys that were getting more sacks because they were talking to some of the elites and getting the tips on that, which then now in response caused offensive linemen to create the camps so that they could counter that. And so that's what we started seeing, man. And so what you started seeing, you just started seeing the evolution of the game, and you started seeing the evolution of the player. Like, for instance, you take and I know who else, Tony Brackens, right? Great defensive lineman, right? But you start taking guys like that, big physical guys like a Reggie White, overpower people like that, right? Because a lot of times, a lot of the offensive linemen back in that day worked uniquely athletic. It's just what it was. So I hate to use this word, but it was a little easier for defensive linemen to get sacks. But when you got linemen that are running 4'6" and 4'7" and 4'8" and 4'9", and they're 320, 30 pounds, the athleticism is there. So now it becomes more about the technique. Now it becomes more about the skill set, right? And so I believe that's the balance that you're seeing. But then that's what I get to when I talk about a Colin Simmons. Everything that you just said, all of those players that you just named, those guys were first-round picks. Those guys were forces in the NFL, but they're not doing what this kid is doing. So that shows you the elite level talent, right?
Hey, Tony, we know you got to get back in there and make many millions. So, and hey, by the way, it's 7:07 in Phoenix. It's about to be 100 degrees in 30 minutes. So we don't want you to stand out there holding your phone any longer because it's been over 100, I think, every day out there from what I hear. So thank you very much. We look forward to seeing the hoodie next week. What are you going to wear next week? Phoenix Cardinals hoodie or Phoenix Suns hoodie? You bringing a hoodie back?
Listen, I'm not bringing it. The Cardinals never cut me a check. They're not getting free play.
No hoodie.
We need OTF hoodies, man. Can we get OTF hoodies? Let's go, man.
That's a good idea.
I like it.
Not bad at all.
That's a good idea, Tony.
Absolutely.
All right,
thanks,
my friend.
Tony. Appreciate it.
Guys. Appreciate y'all, man.
We may do a live box jumping together soon.
I'll tell you what. I'll send you my video. You let me know if that level's good enough for you. I know you.
I'll give it a try. You got to see my new shoes, man. I get up in those.
Oh, all right. The light ups that Bobby was talking about.
Yeah. I get up in those things, baby.
All right, man. Hook 'em, man. See y'all later.
Bye, Tony.
I can imagine. I just gotta say this. I can imagine Jerry's box jump. It'll remind me of that thing I used to stand on when I was like 4 or 5 to brush my teeth at the sink. That's Jerry's box jump onto the little 4 or 5-year-old stool.
Yeah.
Tony be out there with 25-inch box jumps. Jerry's up there with the toddler.
No, those days. Yeah, those days are long gone.
All right, guys. Well, we got more to talk about. We're going to have Doug from Dallas, Texas Exes join us as well here in just a moment. But first, I need to tell everyone about Hexclad because, man, I love Hexclad. If you go look at the pan you've been using since college, it's probably warped. Everything sticks to it, and it probably smells vaguely like burned eggs and poor decisions. It's time for some new pans. I made the switch to Hexclad myself. These things are awesome. They combine stainless steel performance with non-stick convenience, so you actually get a real sear, but cleanup doesn't turn into a full workout afterward. And what I love is you don't have to baby them. Metal utensils are great. Dishwasher safe, absolutely. They're even oven safe up to 900 degrees. These pans are built like tanks. There's a reason that Gordon Ramsay uses Hexclad at home and in his restaurants. and every piece comes with a lifetime warranty. So this is basically the last set of pans you're ever going to buy. Don't go through spring using the same busted pans that you should have thrown out years ago. For a limited amount of time, you can get 10% off your order with our exclusive link. Just head to hexclad.com/ontexas. Support OTF. Check them out. Hexclad.com. HEXCLAD.com/ontexas. Let them know that we sent you, and spring clean your kitchen the smart way with Hexclad. But maybe cooking isn't your thing. And if that's the case, head on over to Hayes City Store, right, Jerry?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yep. If you don't want to cook your own food, I got a great place you can get some. And there are very few restaurants. Then what you go to, you immediately know they're just special. Hayes City Store was that place for me a few years ago. And my good buddy Jason Watts, who's on this chat, took me over there. It's scratch-made Texas comfort food. They got their famous truck stop enchiladas, award-winning chicken fried steak, homemade desserts. All of it's absolutely delicious, and all of it's from scratch. There's also live music 6 nights a week with 50 beer taps, ice-cold long necks, and tasty margaritas. There are 13 TVs alone in their ice house, which means it's perfect for game day's Final Four. Maybe against UCLA. There's that Friday night. And they even have brunch served from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. every Sunday. Hayes City Store is dog friendly, and they have a tree net for kids. I would suggest not mixing the two in the tree net. Join the folks at Hayes City Store and bring your whole crew. For more information, check out the website at HayesCityStoreTX.com. What is Hayes City Store? It's uniquely Texas with great music and really good grub.
You mentioned that was the thing that was surprising to me. You go to a lot of places that kind of have that ice house feel to them, indoor, outdoor, big bar. That you think, maybe the food's not going to be as good. Hayes City Store has elite food. I mean, it's like whoa, wait a minute. Okay, it is elevated. All right,
there are a lot of people that wish they could replicate that in areas they live, but you can't.
Yeah, it's hard. It's just hard being good at multiple things. Hey, speaking of elevated, let's talk to the man himself, Doug Rice.
Here I am. All right. I had to have some walk-up music. I'm sorry. I didn't bother producer Matt with that.
All good, Doug. Hey, Doug, we appreciate you coming on. Dallas, Texas Exes has a 100-year event.
Wow.
Celebrating their 100th year, helping folks get scholarships around the Metroplex. Tell everybody about the event coming up here later in April.
Yes, April the 12th, to be precise. It is a Sunday. It's going to be at Happiest Hour in Dallas. So come on out. It starts at 11 o'clock in the morning, and it goes until 3. And we have who I consider probably the greatest Longhorn guest we could possibly have, the man that I refer to as Longhorn Jesus, Vince Young himself. And Vince will be there. He will be doing a meet and greet. There's various levels you can get in free, but there's various levels to meet Vince Young and so on, and to get into the VIP areas and the meet and greet with Vince. And Chris Del Conte will also be there. Jonathan Scott will be there. Sergio Kendall will be there. I thought Tony Hills was going to be there, but maybe he's not. I didn't see him on the list, but I don't want to speak for Tony because I love Tony. But it is going to be a Longhorn festival for everyone. Please, OTF guys, hey, come out there. Bobby, I was thinking about this, and Blake and Jerry, we need to have like a OTF secret handshake. So,
yeah,
when somebody comes up and sees you at a public event, you're like, hey, yeah, I know all about it.
Good idea.
Hey, Doug, I was told I talked to Monica a little bit, the president of Texas Exes up there, and she said there's going to be like a marketplace there that has a bunch of different vendors that sell Texas stuff.
Yeah,
it's just come out and have beer and wine or whatever, and have brunch. It's also a whole get together, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a really festive atmosphere. There'll be interviews going on in different rooms. If you've been to Happiest Hour, there's going to be a special access rooftop up there. That rooftop is really cool. There's a view of the city up there. And then there's the downstairs. There's what they call the garage, which is an area, I think, where we do our game watch. I'm at the other location for our game watch, but that's where we do our game watch. Happiest Hour is just it's a great facility, a great restaurant and bar. And it will be basically, you could almost rename this thing Longhorn Fest, because we'll have vendors there, and there'll be a place for kids, and so they'll be kid friendly, and it's just going to be a really good time to come out there and celebrate. Like I said, the tickets and everything is available at DallasTexasExes.org. Dallas, Texas, Exes.org. Go check that out. And you can pick from the menu there on what you want to be involved with, what if you want to buy a ticket, or if you want to come for the free stuff, whatever. We just want to have you come out and celebrate. Bobby, of course, will be there. Who else is coming out from the OTF?
I'll be there. I'll be there.
Oh, well, Jerry's going to be there. So hey, we can try to get Vaughn Lane to get Blake up there.
Yes.
Maybe. Yeah.
Rod is coming. Rod will be there as well with us. I mean,
that's right, Rod.
Yeah, it's a great list. And I think that it'll be a lot of fun. Hey, this is something that I don't think fans know enough about, Doug, and thank you for coming on today.
Sure.
Is what the Texas Exes actually does as a group. Not only do y'all host game watching parties and all these things that sound like a lot of fun and people can go be part of a community, but behind the scenes, what are y'all actually trying to do for the future of the University of Texas?
Yeah, our mission is we provide scholarships. We provide scholarships to Dallas area high school students to attend the University of Texas. It's very competitive. We have not only the board of the Dallas Texas Exes, but there's I think more than 100 people that volunteer to screen the applicants, because we get so many applicants for these very precious wanted scholarships to go to UT. A couple of them are the 40-acre scholarships, which means it's a full ride. And then there's many others that are scholarships to go to UT that aren't the full ride, but they're very valuable. So that is our main mission. That's what we do. And so we're always, whenever somebody is interested in sponsoring the Dallas Texas Exes or being involved in any of our events on a one-off basis, whatever it be, you really are helping a great cause. And we try to keep the spirit of UT going, because we all love our days from back going to UT Austin. And this is just one way to keep that spirit going while keeping that great cause going of keeping the students from the Dallas area being able to go to UT.
How many kids on a ongoing basis do y'all help, like on a yearly basis?
I believe it's oh gosh, Monica's going to kill me for not knowing this number correctly. It's somewhere in the neighborhood, I want to say, of 25 to 30 kids each year get some type of assistance from the Dallas Texas Exes. Yes.
Hey, so Doug, by the way, you got some compliments on wearing OTF gear. And somebody asked, was that a boom box when you came on?
No, it's just my phone. You know what? But I can bring one of those for you. We can jam out to Texas fight.
I bet Sark would get you the UT boom box, man, for all you do for Texas.
Hey, Doug, one last time, tell people what you got going on, and then we'll let you go here, bud.
Okay, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. And again, all you OTF members, people that watch the show, please come over and say hi to me there. I'll be emceeing part of this event myself. I'll be walking around in my UT gear that I wear only for special events, my orange blazer and cowboy hat. So it is on April the 12th. That's a week from this Sunday at Happiest Hour in Dallas. Happiest Hour in Dallas. It starts at 11 a.m. Doors will open. It goes until 3. Come one, come all. We have free tickets and we have paid tickets. Just go to DallasTexasExes.org. Check out all the various options. If you want to meet Vince Young and do the meet and greet, or have a VIP, or buy a table in one of our rooms, there's going to be, we're taking over Happiest Hour, which is an incredible, fun, great venue in Dallas. So it's going to be a great time. If you're a UT fan, if you bleed burnt orange like I do and like everybody else on this show does, it is the place you're going to want to be on Sunday, April the 12th, starting at 11 o'clock.
Doug, thank you so much, bud. And 25 kids a year. That's great. Great stuff for you and all the guys and people up at Dallas, Texas Exes. Thanks, man.
Let's keep it going. Hook 'em, baby.
Hook 'em. Take care, Doug.
That's a full recruiting class every year. That's what that is. That's their own recruiting class, their own signing class. So Devsapalooza said no April Fool's jokes. You know, I was prepared to I did think about opening the show with like a sweaty yoga outfit and an LSU pillow that I found in a closet somewhere, but I did not do it. I thought about being Lane Kiffin today, but I didn't do it.
You'd need a blonde wig to pull that off too, a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, we got some recruiting news to hit.
That's actually what I wanted to get to, because there's a lot, and I mean a lot of people in the chat asking about Micah Rhodes, the running back who was committed up to to OU up until, I guess, about an hour ago, Jerry.
Yeah, Micah Rhodes, he's out of Klein Oak. Obviously, some ties to the University of Texas there. He decommitted from Oklahoma. He's been on campus, and I'm not saying something's about to happen with him, but he decommitted this morning, which we had heard behind the scenes was going to be coming more than likely after DeMarco Murray left for the NFL. Now, Oklahoma hired DeLand McCullough. He gave that a chance, but I think Micah, he wanted to just reopen his recruitment. He's been to Texas twice. For spring practice. So he's been on campus a couple of times. He still has a lot of interest in Texas. We'll see where it goes. But the behind the scenes, we've kind of been hearing, Hank South, myself, been hearing that this was likely going to happen. It was just a matter of when, not if, because he committed, and pretty quickly thereafter, DeMarco Murray left for the NFL, and I think that was impactful.
Let's set up who Micah Rhodes is. He's a running back, obviously, Jerry, based on what you've been, but he's a 2028, and he's considered one of the best in the country, correct?
Yeah, it may be this. Some people are saying this is an April Fool's joke. I don't know if it's true.
Well, I mean, Klein Oaks High School retweeted it.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do y'all think? If we got, we got, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's look, we're doing the show right now, but we've been hearing that something might happen with Micah Rhodes. He's been to Texas twice, so that's obviously a recruitment that's ongoing. Let's say that. And he was on campus, I think, a weekend right before spring break. Okay, they're saying it's Hayes. People are saying Hayes Fawcett reported it, so I don't know. We're on the show here, but I can tell you this: that people have been recruiting Micah Rhodes like he was going to decommit, and there was chatter out there that he could decommit from Oklahoma.
Gotcha. 2028, Klein Oak.
Yes.
What else going on in recruiting though right now, Jerry?
Yeah, so I posted 52. Okay, there you go. So it is true. So I think thank you for the clarifications for the chat, because when you're on the show, it's really hard to do this stuff. But look, Texas is up to 52 official visits. I posted a story this morning on OTF.com. 52 official visits broken down by state. Okay, there's 12 states that are represented right now. I think that it could be up to 14 states when all's said and done where Texas has June official visitors from. We added Derwin Fields, an edge out of Brookhaven, Mississippi, who is a 4-star edge prospect. So that's 3 players from Mississippi who now have OV scheduled. Lincoln Mageo, the guard from Oceanside, he was on campus yesterday. He scheduled his official visit. Obviously, we have Ishmael Kamara, Keon Hemphill Woods going to be on campus this week on the offensive line. But we're up to 52 OVs, and that's not counting guys who I think will schedule OVs like Landon Williams Callis, guys like that, Kennedy Brown potentially. I think Texas can creep up towards 57, 58 official visitors set in June. Now, all those guys won't follow through because some of those guys, some schools have different on their NIL tier board than a Texas does. And that can affect if those guys actually make those late June official visits, because some people are going to go after those guys hard and put an NIL offer out there that kid's not going to be able to refuse. So, but I think Texas is going to begin with around 57, 58 official visitors. And I think those numbers are going to keep going a little higher in future classes because of the 105 scholarships. So I think back, but when they were at 85 scholarships, Texas was hovering around 46 to 50 official visitors. And most times it ended up being 46, 48 because a couple, 3, 4 guys peel off and commit somewhere else. But I think those numbers are going to be about 10 more every year as Texas looks to fill that extra offensive line spot, that extra defensive line spot, may be an extra developmental piece at another position through the 105 scholarships. It's Bruno Bowersox in Easton Royal talk. It's just going to be the same with him. He has always been upfront about everything. Saw him a couple of weeks ago. Everything he said at the Under Armour All-America game check-in has come true. I know there's been a lot of Tennessee chatter. I'm not sure I'm buying that from the offensive scheme standpoint. I think this is going to come down to Texas, Florida, and LSU at the end of the day. And I think Texas has reason to feel confident about it. But he's always maintained, I'm taking all these unofficial visits. I'm going to take these official visits. And then he's going to come to a final conclusion prior to his senior year. And even after that prior conclusion, his senior year, which right now would be Texas, that doesn't mean LSU's given up. This will go till the letter of intent or whatever is sent to a school. This one's not ending with hey, this is my final decision in August. LSU's not walking away, else they're not doing the job.
All right, guys, we got time for just a little bit more, a couple of questions. But first, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone one more time about our sponsor today, Adam Lowy.
Yeah, absolutely. If you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind and think you might be due compensation, make sure you go talk to Adam over at Lowy Law Firm. He and his group are ready to help you out. Again, if you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind, they'll give you a free, no strings attached consultation and see if you might be due compensation. LowyLawFirm.com. Adam, thank you so much for your ongoing sponsorship, not only of On Texas Football, but also of UT Athletics as well.
All right. Well, let's see. We got a couple of questions here. This one from Jay. He says, can we get a Derek Williams update? How's he moving? Anything on that, fellas?
I'm told better. Is he all the way back? And I don't know that I can answer that question now. And I don't know that coaches will be able to answer that question. I guess the answer is no right now. Is he 95%, 97%? He's still getting better. He's still getting better. That's just the reality of it. Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed he ends up better than he ever was. I mean, some people come back from those knee surgeries, and it just takes them time. I mean, frankly, Priest Holmes would come back every time better than he was before. Wayne McGarity came back better than he ever was before after a knee injury. But sometimes it just takes time. It's only been a year. All right,
and then our next question this morning comes from Dave Atchley, and he says, with Daniel Cruz gone, who is the backup center for Texas?
It's Jackson Christian and Dylan Sikorsky are kind of repping there, Bobby. I don't think anybody else is really repping there that would factor in next year if there was an injury to Connor Robertson.
They are, to your point, Sikorsky is circle him and Jackson Christian.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Then we have one from BMose24. If Coleman projects as a guard, how much more valuable are the practice reps at guard than left tackle that he's missing now?
I think you're breaking into jail with that question. He might be Trevor Goosby's replacement a year from now.
Yeah. So
don't you want him to be out there right now? If you got Lawrence Seymour now that's been cleared at guard, it's not that he projects as guard. It's just where they needed him.
Yeah.
Right. In 2026, potentially. That's the discussion. He's working at tackle because they think he has a chance to play tackle.
Yeah. When I said guard for him, I was projecting after college football.
Yeah.
There's plenty of guys that play tackle in college football that move inside at the NFL level.
Siani has an extra year too. He could kick to left tackle next year. Coleman could go to right, there's just a number of different ways. When I say next year, I should be talking about 2027 at that point.
Yeah.
And we will close with this one from Brendan. What do you guys think the secondary rotation depth will be? 3 to 4 at corner and 4-ish at safety?
Man, that's hard.
Tough right now.
The hardest, the appearance or injection of Samari Matthews at corner makes this hard for me because going into spring ball, I thought it was going to be either Bo Masco or Grayson Littleton with Cade Phillips, and then you would have Warren Roberson and Kobe Black. Simple 4. That's what I thought. Caleb Chester transferred out. Santana Wilson gone as well. So I thought it was now you have Samari Matthews, who's saying not so fast, basically, because he's just talented. You also have Bo Masco playing really well at nickel right now. So I think, what do you do there? So I can't tell you 3 or 4. At safety, it's different. Some of the candidates aren't even on the field right now.
Right.
Ellis Hicks is in a green jersey. Xavier Filsaime, not out there. And so you have Jelani McDonald and whoever. I mean, Jonah Williams is out, right? I mean, can't play baseball, much less football. And so you have all these guys. Jordan Johnson-Rebel obviously is out there. I don't know what Derek Williams is out there. I don't know about the rotation at safety right now.
I'm not sure they do.
And that would make sense because of lack of personnel right now available to him.
What that's done is given a young guy like Teray Davis a chance to make a little mark enter the equation with all those guys.
A name that we've heard too, by the way.
Jordan Johnson-Rebel.
Yep.
Hey, we got a super chat that came in. It would be great to end this show on.
We do indeed. Spank Boogie 312. Thank you, Spank. Says, are we sure that Texas has a tough schedule, or are we guilty to projections? Take away Ohio State and LSU with no Georgia. Who are we afraid of? Ole Miss has a new staff. A&M still has Reed. OU still can't score. And with that said, I'm going to put the schedule up here. Who are we afraid of?
Yeah, so look, I do think Texas has a very difficult schedule, and here's why. It's the first year of a 9 SEC game schedule. You only have 1 week off. And then you look at the quarterbacks who now have more experience, who are returning. And you can argue, what does experience mean if you don't think a player's good? I know some people don't think, hey, look, Marcel Reed's not. I don't disagree, but he's still a third-year starter. Okay, there's something to be said for guys who have experience, right? We see it all the time in college athletics right now. I think, look, you have 1 off week. You have a bunch of tough road games that are going to be at night. Okay, and I do think, look at the quarterbacks on your schedule. Julian saying, people can like or not like John Mateer. The guy's a hell of a competitor. He's going to be in year 2 as an SEC starter. Okay, Aaron Philo's probably going to be pretty good, and look at the people around him he has at Florida. Trinidad Chambliss, obviously, is tremendous. Kamario Taylor. I mean, Sam Levitt and Lane Kiffin, that combination will probably be really good. When's the last quarterback Lane had that was a dud? I mean, the guy's probably going to be pretty good. And then you play at A&M. I do think Texas has a tough schedule for a lot of reasons. And those reasons are even this, a tougher schedule. San Jose State, UTEP, and Sam Houston State, bad, terrible. Texas State and UTSA are even a step up from that. So I do think Texas has a tough schedule. I think it's a more challenging schedule. I think the first year there's an adjustment for all these teams playing 9-game SEC schedules and only 1 off week this year. I think it's a tough schedule, yes, for many reasons. And I think it's going to be ranked as that.
It's a tougher schedule this year. I mean, you mentioned the quarterbacks. You didn't even mention Sam Levitt.
Yeah.
And Texas fans have to remember him from the Arizona State game 2 years ago.
Yeah.
They're just – Trinidad Chambliss is a really, really talented college quarterback.
Yeah.
Julian Sayans, second-year starter. I mean, those McCown at UTSA.
He'll be in a training camp. He'll be an undrafted free agent training camp guy, probably. Yeah. Good player.
So, I mean, I've got no problem with Jerry's take on that. I don't think it's just fool's gold, this schedule.
Yeah.
You can think it's easier. Okay. I don't.
Yeah, I don't
either.
Not when you have to play. I mean, look, Pavia was at home. Texas had Pavia at home. Boy, LSU's QB is a fraud. Dude, I don't know. Pretty talented dude, man.
Hey, Bandit also said play against 3 top running backs in college football this year, potentially.
Top 3 running backs?
Interesting.
Who would they be?
Lacey, Ball.
Lacey at Ole Miss, Ball at Florida.
Who's at Ohio State?
Bo Jackson, good player.
Yeah.
Reuben Owens at A&M. You know LSU's going to have somebody run the football.
Oh, yeah. No, and I think this too. I think the quarterbacks combined I mean, look, the Texas just plays very talented schedule. I mean, that's the reality of it. And if the team, if Tennessee's not as good as they have been the last 2 years, that's a tough place to play. And we've seen what can happen at a tough place to play in the SEC.
Oh, Ahmad Hardy.
Yeah.
Ahmad Hardy. There you go.
Missouri. Jeez.
Yeah. And yeah. So I think it's a tough schedule. I also think the venues and when those games are going to be. And I mean, I think everybody learned last year, Florida will look like dog poo prior to Texas going to Gainesville. They had 107 yards or something against Miami. These are tough venues to play. Tennessee's a tough venue to play if you've never played there before, even if they're not quite as good as they have been.
All right, guys. That's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm. We want to thank Adam, along with Prize Picks, Hayes City Store, Harry's, and Hexclad, all for sponsoring today's show. Of course, thank you all for tuning in as well. The questions, the super chats. What's the later, Bobby?
Well, it's Wednesday. We got State of the Program coming up here. Myself, Jerry, and Rob Baber is going to sit down and talk a little Longhorn football. We also have more news and notes from yesterday's press conference, as well as the live stream coming up today. Make sure you check us out over at ontexasfootball.com. We continue the daily conversation. If you want to, visit ontexasfootball.com. Talk with us on the message boards. We'll answer your questions, talk a little recruiting. Jerry's got a recruiting thread going on right now about some stuff going on behind the scenes. And we'll keep going at it here. We've got practice number 7 in the books. They go to number 8 tomorrow, and then 9. Practice number 9 is Saturday. There will be a scrimmage. We're also going to get Steve Sarkisian in a post-practice scrimmage discussion coming up this weekend too. So looking forward to that.
Yeah. And I also want to add before we get out, don't forget to follow On Texas Football on all your favorite social media channels, whether that's YouTube, X, Instagram, TikTok, or Threads. We're on all those at On Texas Football, all one word. Or if you prefer Facebook, search for us, Texas Longhorns News. All
hey, they're doing some good stuff over on TikTok right now. I don't know if y'all see it.
There's a lot of content that we have on our social channels that just don't make the shows because there's not enough time. So it's definitely a must for Texas fans. Again, at On Texas Football for all of them except Facebook, which is Texas Longhorns News, all one word. Well, we hope you all have a tremendous day today. We'll be back tomorrow morning, if I can get that out right. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.